In the quiet stretches of rural Iowa, where long rows of corn swayed under the golden sun and the dirt roads carried more dust than traffic, Lily Parker's life had slowed to a crawl. At just 19, she had once dreamed of studying art in Chicago, painting the stories of her hometown. But a devastating accident months earlier had shattered those dreams, leaving her in a wheelchair. The doctors in Des Moines spoke with cold certainty: her spine was damaged beyond repair. To them, the case was closed. For Lily, it felt like her life had ended before it truly began. Her mother tried to be strong, but the late nights gave her away. Lily could hear the muffled sobs through the thin walls of their farmhouse. Her father, once a talkative man, grew quiet, his silence filling the rooms heavier than words ever could. They loved her, but their grief only deepened her own. Everywhere Lily turned, there was pity, sadness, or resignation. She hated the look in people's eyes as if she was already gone. What she longed for wasn't sympathy, it was hope, something stronger than medical charts and grim predictions. That hope came from an unlikely place. Jacob Miller, their neighbor, had lived across the field all her life. A widower in his mid-50s, Jacob wasn't the kind of man who used many words. He was known more for his weathered hands, his faith in the soil, and the crops he coaxed from unforgiving land. He had lost his wife years ago, but he never lost his steady strength. People in town often said Jacob carried more wisdom than any preacher. Lily had always seen him as just the quiet farmer next door, until the day he showed up on her porch. It was late in the evening, the sky painted with streaks of pink and orange as the sun dipped behind the cornfields. Lily sat in her wheelchair, staring blankly at the horizon, when Jacob appeared holding a small mason jar filled with dark, muddy soil. He set it down on the porch rail, as if it carried some kind of secret. "Doctors don't always have the final word," he said softly, his voice steady. "Sometimes healing grows where you least expect it. If a seed can break through this mud, so can you." His words weren't scientific, but they carried a weight she couldn't dismiss. At first, Lily laughed bitterly, almost out of habit. How could mud or seeds change what the doctors had decided? Yet Jacob's calm conviction lingered in her mind long after he left. He didn't see her as broken, fragile, or finished. He saw her as someone worth believing in. That night, for the first time since the accident, she lay awake not drowning in despair, but wondering if maybe, just maybe, there was something beyond the doctor's verdict. Jacob promised he would come back every day to help her, not with machines or miracles, but with patience, faith, and the kind of strength that grows slowly, like roots in the earth. Weeks melted into months, and Jacob's presence became as constant in Lily's life as the rising sun. He showed up every morning, sometimes with fresh vegetables tucked into a basket, sometimes with jars of soup that smelled of thyme and garlic, and other times with nothing but his quiet company. He spoke of his late wife, of the seasons on the farm, of the stubbornness of soil that resisted seed until the rains came. His words weren't just stories, they were lessons in patience, resilience, and faith. Slowly, Lily began to absorb that spirit, and something inside her stirred awake. Jacob never let her sink into despair. When she wanted to give up on exercise as the doctors had prescribed, he pushed her gently, always reminding her, one more stretch, one more try. There was no pressure in his voice, only steady encouragement. Sometimes she resented him for not letting her quit, but later, she would feel grateful. Each small attempt was like planting another seed in her own body. Though her legs remained stiff and unresponsive, her heart grew stronger, and hope began to push through the cracks of her despair like fragile green shoots after a winter. Then came a morning in early spring after a long night of rain. The fields outside Jacob's farmhouse glistened with puddles, and the air carried the earthy smell of wet soil. Jacob appeared at Lily's door with that familiar jar of mud, only this time he asked her to come with him. She hesitated, but with his strong hands supporting her, she agreed. For the first time since her accident, Lily left the safety of her porch and wheeled herself into the open field. There, Jacob urged her to try standing. With his arms steadying her trembling body, she rose shakily from the chair. The mud clung to her shoes, slippery and heavy, but somehow it grounded her. Every muscle screamed in protest, her body shaking as though the earth itself resisted her. Yet Jacob's steady voice cut through the fear. "You can do this. Just one step, Lily. Just one." With all her strength, she pushed her right foot forward. It was awkward, clumsy, and small, but it was hers. Tears spilled down her cheeks as rain began to fall again, mixing with her sobs. Jacob leaned close and whispered, "That's it. Just like the seed. You've broken through." In that moment, the impossible had shifted. The news spread quickly through their small Iowa town. People who had pitied Lily now gathered in awe, whispering about the girl who was told she'd never walk yet was taking steps in the mud. Some dismissed it as determination and physical therapy, but those who had seen her struggle knew it was more than that. For Lily and Jacob, it wasn't just about movement, it was about faith, kindness, and the miracle that life could bloom again, even in broken soil. Each step she took became proof that sometimes the greatest healing comes not from medicine, but from belief.